Everyone keeps calling Federal Way a budget-friendly escape from Seattle. But is that reputation actually earned or quietly overrated? In this video, we break down what living in Federal Way truly costs, starting with what you'll pay to rent and whether the bottom line is something you can actually afford. We'll look at getting around town and the money you save doing it, where you can realistically commute to work, how to eat out for less, and what buying a home here really takes. Then we get honest about the trade-offs. And by the end, one single number will tell you whether Federal Way is a smart move or a money trap. Rent is where that contradiction first bites. And honestly, the number might annoy you. Say you land here with a median income of about $90,000. You'd think that would give you some breathing room, right? Well, hold on. A studio will run you about $2,074 a month. For a one-bedroom, you're looking at $2,146. Exactly the Seattle Metro average. And a two-bedroom? That's around $2,501. Now, think back to 2018, when a one-bedroom was just about $1,529. Fast forward to now, and you're shelling out 40% more. That fast rise in rents makes renting feel like a ride on a rocket. And buying isn't much better, with a median home costing 5.5 times the median income, which puts rents at 24% of income, right in the lower priced zone. So renting here is like standing on a financial seesaw. The verdict on renting? Steep, with the future looking even steeper. So let's step back and look at the big picture. Just how tight is the squeeze around here? Federal Way has a median household income of about $90,000, which lands in a nice middle ground. It's not as high as Seattle's, but it still beats the national average by 19.4%. Rent takes up 24% of that income, so you're sitting comfortably under that 30% affordability line. But here's the kicker. Buying a home runs 5.5 times your income, and that's not something you can just shrug off. It puts a serious crimp on your budget. So affordability here is a bit like walking a tightrope. The verdict? Reasonable, but tread carefully. So, do you really need a car to get around this town? Well, Federal Way isn't exactly a walker's paradise. With a walk score of 29, it's the kind of place where having a car feels almost mandatory. And transit doesn't pick up much of the slack either, scoring just a 34, which is about 43% below Seattle's transit friendliness. Biking is a more viable option, though, with a score of 39, so it's a way to cut your transport costs if you're up for some pedaling. But in reality, the car remains king here, and that's going to add to your expenses. The verdict on transit? Car required. Can you actually get to work without the headaches and delays? Well, Federal Way is served by the fast, grade-separated Link Light Rail, and that's your ticket to downtown Seattle and beyond. The local transit hub is the Federal Way Downtown Station, and it makes it possible to reach job centers like SeaTac International Airport, downtown Seattle, and even the University of Washington over in the U District. King County Metro operates the bus routes here, connecting you to Tacoma, Puyallup, and Auburn. So it's a network that really keeps you linked, but you do need to plan your routes and schedules with precision. The verdict on commuting? It's possible, but plan your moves carefully. So, where can you grab a bite without breaking the bank? Picture it. It's Friday, you've got $20 and zero patience for cooking. Let's start with the spots that are genuinely cheap and genuinely good. Nori Sushi, sitting at 4.7 stars, is a real hit with 557 reviews. Then there's JP's Tavern, a casual favorite at 4.4 stars. And rounding out your budget-friendly dining options is Pizza Pizzazz with 4.3 stars. Step it up just a notch, and you've still got plenty of choices that keep both your taste buds and your wallet happy. So the verdict on eating out? Tasty and easy on the wallet. Now, if you're thinking of buying, here's a quick peek. And if you happen to be in that rare position to buy here, it's worth knowing that the median home price sits at about $615,000, with homes typically on the market for around 8 days. Prices have climbed about 8.9% year over year. But here's the thing. About 40% of listings end up seeing price cuts, so you've actually got some leverage. The verdict on buying? Brutal, unless you're playing the long game. So what's the real trade-off of living here? It really comes down to weighing the home price multiple and the rent trend against the savings of needing your car less. You might find that the balance tips either way, depending on how you navigate these financial waters. The verdict on trade-offs? Balance your budget with care. So, here's the big reveal. Whether you rent or buy, knowing that a median home costs about 5.5 times the local income is the number that decides it all. Let's recap what we covered. On renting, with a median income of about $90,000, a studio runs about $2,074 a month. A one-bedroom is $2,146, and a two-bedroom is around $2,501. Since 2018, when a one-bedroom was about $1,529, rents have jumped 40%. On affordability, that income sits 19.4% above the national average, and rent takes up 24%, under the 30% line. On getting around, the walk score is 29, transit is 34, about 43% below Seattle, and biking scores 39, so a car stays king. On the commute, the Link Light Rail and the Federal Way downtown station connect you to SeaTac, downtown Seattle, the U District, Tacoma, Puyallup, and Auburn. On eating out, Nori Sushi shines at 4.7 stars with 557 reviews, JP's Tavern at 4.4, and Pizza Pizzazz at 4.3. On buying, the median home is about $615,000, on the market around 8 days, up 8.9% year over year, with 40% of listings seeing price cuts. The trade-off? Weigh that home price multiple and rent trend against spending less on your car. The upside? Dining out won't empty your pockets. If this helped, please like and subscribe, and check out our cost of living breakdowns on nearby Auburn and Des Moines. Choose wisely, and you just might find your sweet spot here in Federal Way.